To all who come to this happy place, welcome.
What is it about Disney that makes us happy? Is it the magical whistle as your ticket is scanned at the main gate? Is it the seafaring smell of pirate water? Or is it charting a course to a land where you may never grow up? Whether it's singing a familiar song, watching a movie, or riding your favorite attraction for the 100th time, Disney undeniably has a way to warm our hearts, believe in magic, and bring joy into our lives. This is Main Gate Magic, a podcast where we break down and discuss the infectious happiness, delight, and thrill of all things Disney. We're back! Hey guys, how's everybody doing? Today is Tuesday, the 25th of February, if I'm going to be enunciating that the right way. I'm Jason Braden, your host of Main Gate Magic, and I have two of my co-hosts in the audience today. I have Mr. Thomas. Thomas, how are you doing today? It's good to see you.
Doing great, thank you. Good to see you.
Welcome. And Miss Leia, how are you doing today? It's good to see you too.
Oh, thanks. I'm doing good. How are you, Jason?
I am wonderful, actually. I'm relieved to be doing this because it seems like work has been crazy lately, and this is kind of like one of my favorite escapes. Aside from video games, of course, you know, which my fingers won't be able to do that forever. So hey, at least I got the show, right? So today we're going to be doing some updated news on the Disney parks, and also our main topic, of course, as it said in the title of today's episode, is Mr. Walt Disney himself. We've got some fun facts, and I said trivia in there, but I think most of the stuff that we're going to be doing is basically trivia. If you guys want, we can turn it into questions and make it trivia, but we'll kind of just discover that as we go along. Thomas has got some fun facts for Walt Disney. Leia's got some fun facts. I've got some fun facts. But before we get to that, we've got to do a quick recap of last week's show. Last week was so fun. I had such a good time having Caitlin Robrock on the show, the voice of Minnie Mouse. Yeah. She is such a delight, such a wonderful person, and such a fun personality. She joined a little bit late, which was, just life stuff happening. But we went a full hour and a half to make up for the hour for her particular segment of the show, and it was well worth it. So if you guys missed that show, check us out on Facebook or YouTube to see the episode or listen to it on the usual spots. So,
she definitely leaves her Minnie Mouse impression on you. I've been thinking about her all week. I was like all these guests we're having, and like they just really stick with you. The Disney magic that they bring to the show. So.
Yeah, totally. They do. Well put.
Absolutely, well said. Yes. We've also got a few upcoming guests, which I usually save that to the end of the show, but I'm going to go ahead and tell it now since we're doing a recap of last week's guest. Next week, which we already do have scheduled and available to watch and subscribe to on our Facebook and YouTube page, is Mr. Joe Achman. He is the current voice of Jiminy Cricket for Disney, and he's been doing it for several years now. And he's done other live action and animated voices as well, so we'll have him on the show. We'll be able to talk to him and see what he's been up to. And future guests that I have confirmed is Bill Morrison. He's a Disney artist who has done a lot of poster work for Disney and also VHS DVD covers. He's the guy that did the stuff for like The Little Mermaid and many others. He also does drawings for The Simpsons. I don't think he does animation per se, but just like if somebody needs like just still art to put like as a one and done kind of a thing. Yeah. Maurice LaMarche, I did talk to him recently. I've asked him for certain dates in March. I'm hoping to have him on very soon. Katie Von Till, we're going to have back in April. I have confirmed Adasa is going to be here in April on the 28th. She is actually I think she said she's in Peru, and she was performing with the Tabernacle Choir. Wow. So I was like, wow, that's crazy. She even sent me a picture of the stadium that she was performing in, and it seats like 40,000 people. It was huge.
Wow.
I know. And somebody asked me, like, "Oh, is it the Mormon Tabernacle, that big choir?" And I said, "I don't really know any other tabernacle choir," but I went on their website and it said that they were performing there last Saturday, and it said special guest to be confirmed. So I'm guessing she was one of them.
Wow.
Wow.
And then Sam Kwansman, the Donald Duck voice, and Mark Silverman, the guy that does the voice for Rod Serling in the Twilight Zone Tower of Terror. All upcoming guests that we are planning to have in the next few months here. We got a big roster and possibly more to come. Thomas, you told me about one, and we're not going to say it yet until we know for sure. But yeah, I mean, it seems like we're just kind of getting people dropping in left and right, which I love.
I love it.
Yeah.
Alrighty, let's say hello to some people in the audience. Patricia's online. She says, "Hello, everyone." Hey, everyone. Hi, Patricia. Good to see you. Odie's in the house. He says, "Happy Tuesday, everyone."
Hey.
And he says, "Jiminy Cricket, my hero."
I agree. I love Jiminy Cricket.
Listen to your conscience. Now, he gives a good message. I love this song that he does. "I'm no fool, no siree. I'm going to live to be 103. Those are some life goals, right? And he says they don't use Mormon in the title anymore, Dad says. Yeah, so yeah, I guess it's just Tabernacle Choir. But if you go to their site, it does say of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. So we know it's the same one. So anyway. Okay, so for those who are possibly watching but haven't said anything yet, I'm just going to go ahead and put up our little ticker here. That the chat is open. Say hello, drop a comment or ask a question, and share in the magic. It's always fun to see what you guys have to say. But until we get another chat, it is time for the news.
It's time for Main Gate Magic News.
All right, I don't got a lot of stuff to share. We're going to do what I've been doing lately and talk about some current ride closures at Disneyland and California Adventure. Everything is pretty much the same as it was 2 weeks ago. So I'm just going to run through these really quick. Yeah, I know. So Disneyland, we've got Pixie Hollow, Disneyland Monorail, the Railroad as well. It's a Small World, the Disney Gallery, the Disneyland Story Presenting Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, and the Jolly Holly Bakery Cafe. So those are all the same ones as of 2 weeks ago. They are all still down for rehauling, retooling, refurbishment, re-something. And then over at California Adventure, we've got the Grizzly River Run that is still down, being taken care of. And also learned that Guardians of the Galaxy, it's not down right now. Mission Breakout is scheduled to go down starting on March 10th. Now, did you know about this particular closure, Thomas? And do you know if it has anything to do with the construction they're starting?
Yeah, so I know that Hollywoodland, which is pretty close to Mission Breakout, it's going to start its construction in March. So I do think it is connected because there's that little that sensitive spot between Hollywoodland and Avengers Campus. It goes from Hollywoodland to Avengers Campus. So I'm guessing it has something to do with that.
Yeah. And it kind of coincides with the closure of the red trolley as well. So I figured that's probably another good indicator that they're just starting to close things down. I mean, I have no idea if it's like on a different power or on the same power grid or whatever the reason is. And I didn't see any news as far as how long it's going to be closed. But if it's closed in May, I'm going to be very upset because that is one of my favorite rides at that park.
Fun fact about the red trolley, they do have it parked in front of Elias and Company for pictures. So even though it's not
that's nice.
You can still do a photo op, at least for now. So
that's smart. Yeah. That's really smart. Now, I'm wondering, now the red trolley is closed, but is it gone for good? Are they going to just eventually cover up the tracks and just get rid of it completely?
That I don't know about. I don't know if it's going to become just because Avengers Campus is taking over more territory, if it's going to be themed to Avengers Campus somehow or completely taken out. But I mean, those tracks have been, that's his history, and hopefully they don't remove more history. I know it's not as old of a park, obviously, as Disneyland, but it has some roots. So,
what was it opened? It opened in 2000. Is that right?
Sounds about right. Yeah,
I think it was the year 2000 it opened.
Yeah, I think it was 2000, 2001.
Back on the topic of the Mormon Tabernacle Choir, Odie says, "A font of useless trivia." Yeah. We have all stored useless trivia in our brains, but that's why we do the show, because it's so much fun to talk about it. Okay, so I checked the now Undercover Tourist. If you guys have never been to that site, it's a really good site. Actually has metrics of like crowd coverage and how busy it is normally during this time of the year versus other months of the year. They said that there are average park crowds this week, so if you are visiting, expect just like medium crowds, at least according to the metrics. Now, don't take that for a fact. It's just based on previous attendance records, and that is always, of course, subject to change. So don't take my word for it. Don't take their word for it. You go at your own risk. The park is very unpredictable. As I learned on our last trip, when we were told it was supposed to be during one of the lighter times of the year, and it was super busy. It's like as soon as the rain lifted, everybody just flooded into the park.
Yeah.
So it's not always predictable. Talk about a few upcoming nights at Star Wars After Dark events, and even some unofficial Disney days that are not sponsored by the park but are still sort of like fan-based stuff. I did talk about this before. Star Wars Night, the After Hours event, runs from March 28th through May 11th. Tickets are on sale now, but the only one you cannot do at the moment is May the 4th. It's completely sold out, but there are other days available, plenty of other days available. So buy your tickets now. General admission tickets are $169, but they also go up to $179, I think, depending on the actual day. If it's like a peak day, if it's a high performance day, like they're expecting larger crowds, then they usually kick up the price a little bit so they can get that cheddar. I talked about it in a previous episode. There's going to be all sorts of crazy stuff there as far as pictures and characters walking around. There's going to be new shows. There's going to be a new event for Star Tours, I think, by then as well. It's going to be a lot of fun. Lisa and I are going on May the 6th, so we will be there for that one. Food and Wine Festival. It starts Friday, right?
Yeah, Friday. Mm-hmm.
Friday the 28th. That is my father's birthday. Happy birthday on Friday, Dad. I just remembered that. I gotta get you something.
Happy birthday, Audie. Pre-birthday.
So it goes through April 21st. It is only at California Adventure. It includes delicious food and wine offerings every day, seminars, and tasting, special types of food and wine tasting on the weekends. Check the Disneyland app for more details. And also, apparently, I learned this, that along with the Food and Wine Festival, they are flipping Soarin' Around the World back to California, or soaring over California. So if you guys have never been able to experience Soarin' Over California, if you go from February 28th through April 21st, you will be able to ride Soarin' over California.
Mm-hmm.
Yay. 90s Night. It's another one coming up. Tickets have been on sale for a while, but unfortunately they are sold out. I went online and I checked, and I'm like, I better check before I start talking about that. It runs the March 4th through and the 6th. It's only 2 nights only. But the tickets are all sold out. So I guess if I'm making an announcement here, it's just that if you plan to go on March 4th or March 6th, just be aware that the park is going to close a little early to allow for the After Dark event.
What's 90s Night about?
Just same as what 80s Night is about. They just do stuff from the 90s. They typically have like areas for people to dance, and then they have characters from the Disney era in the decade of the 90s.
Yeah.
They'll
my
have
gosh,
lots of
that'd be so
photo
fun.
opportunities, and it's just like another After Dark event, like any other, where the price of admission gets you into the park and also gets you into the event. They usually start letting people register for it at around 6 o'clock. The park usually closes at 9, but stays open a little bit later for those who have bought those tickets. I want to say it can go anywhere between like 1 and 2 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's a lot of fun. If you ever get a
I would
chance
love
to
to
do it,
do that.
it's great. Lisa and I did 80s Night, and we actually, I think that was the first one that we ever dressed for. We wore like Dayglow shirt colors and pants. I wore parachute pants, and I even bought myself a members only jacket, which like ripped on the very first day. I snagged it on
Oh.
something, and I didn't even realize it until after I got back, and I'm like, wow, it's practically ruined now.
I
Oh
hate
no.
I know, but I still got it. It's hanging in the closet. I mean, it's probably somebody could probably fix it really easily.
Jason, did you do a flock of seagulls haircut or anything?
No, my hair was too
Okay.
short. I could
Okay.
probably do it now. My hair is a little bit longer nowadays, but back
Yeah, like-
then it was still pretty short.
Yeah.
So I might be able to, like, you know, swoop it up and do the flock of seagulls thing.
Ooh.
that.
Unofficial Disneyland days, there are tons of them throughout the year, and I've checked. There's not really any specific official site for these unofficial Disneyland days, but when I was looking at undercovertourist.com, they actually had a specific section that actually showed all the different ones that at least they know about. And the ones that are coming up pretty soon, this one I thought was funny just because of the name. Now, I know that they usually have a Pride Day or a Pride Month at Disney parks, but this one they are actually calling on March 1st a mini gay day. I
my
have
goodness.
never heard of that before. I know. I thought that was interesting, but it's just, again, it's unofficial. It's not sponsored by Disney. It's just something that I guess people get together and they just come in based on the theme of that particular day.
Yeah.
There is also the Dapper Days as well. I didn't get dates for that. Why didn't I not put that on there? I think I might have forgotten, but I think there is a Dapper Days coming up pretty soon as well.
Yeah.
That one's a lot of fun because
It
people
is.
will dress up in sort of like period costumes from like the 20s and the 30s and stuff like that, with fedoras and, you know, like the newsy hats and stuff like that, and
Oh, fun.
you know, long sleeve shirts with the sleeves rolled up, and they wear like, you know, the khaki vests and the baggy pants and stuff. Seen people in like zoot suits and things like that before. It's a lot of fun.
Looks
Yeah.
like it's April 16th is the final like event, but then
Oh, perfect.
it's April 14th through the 16th. So.
Awesome. I know that's a very popular one amongst the fans of the unofficial Disney days, so that's
For sure.
all right. We actually have a new. I am sorry, Deborah. We have a new person watching the show today. She says it's Deborah. Hello, Deborah. Welcome to the show. She says, "Yo, Main Gate Magic. When are we doing Bill Farmer, the voice of Goofy, and Bert? Bert. Bert is, I think it's Brett, the voice of Mickey Mouse. Funny you should ask. Now Bill Farmer, I would love to get on here someday, and I think
yeah.
it will be possible at some point. But I haven't been in contact with him yet, but I know that he's going to be at some of the shows that I am planning to go to either later this year or maybe even possibly next year. So it is a distinct possibility that I will have him on the show at some point, but not confirmed. As far as Brett is concerned, as the voice of Mickey Mouse, after the show that we had with Caitlin, I actually asked her after the show, if you're still in contact with Brett, would you mind pushing him my way and see if he'd be interested in being on the show? And she said, sure. So I haven't heard anything as of yet, but she said that she would, be on the lookout for us and help us out with that a little bit. So
Fingers crossed.
more to come on that. Yeah, I know. Fingers crossed. We'll just faith, trust, and pixie dust, everybody. Let's just keep happy thoughts about all of that.
We'll manifest Billy Crystal onto the show somehow.
And
Make it
Buddy Boy 600 Alt, the Marsupialami master of YouTube. I think this person was on our show last week as well, and says,
yeah.
yes, I remember Disney. Yes, I is that the one? Remind me, buddy. Are you the one from? Was it New Zealand? Was it? Didn't we have somebody from New Zealand on the show last week or the week before?
Yeah, I think it was.
Yeah.
Because we were talking about, has anybody ever been to New Zealand? And no, the only thing that I remember of New Zealand is from Lord of the Rings. That
Right.
was last week because
Yeah,
I
it was
think Caitlin
with,
was the one that said that.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see. I don't know this question. Which is the best segment of Raw Tunage, Bonkers or Marsupilami? I have no idea. Do either of you watch Raw Tunage?
I don't. I remember it was actually mentioned on this show a couple of weeks ago. Another fan mentioned Raw Tunage, but I don't know anything about it.
No, I don't know anything
Bonkers-
about those.
Bonkers, I think now that they're saying Marsupilami, I think they mentioned that on the show last time as well.
Yeah.
And Bonkers, I actually do remember. I want to say that was a show from the 90s.
I think
Okay.
And,
he did, the who just commented. I think he was the one that
oh,
mentioned
yeah,
this.
probably.
Yeah, yeah.
And,
I
yep,
remember
there it
that.
is. No, I am not from New Zealand. Oh, I thought it said I'm from but not from New Zealand. Okay, well, maybe it's somebody else.
Oh.
And then they're also asking, what about Steve Mackel? I am not familiar with that name. If you want to tell me who that is and maybe drop them a line and say, hey, you'd be great on this show, I'd be
amazing.
happy for the support. Yeah.
Yes.
If they've done anything for Disney, then they are definitely somebody we'd love to have on the
Yeah.
show.
And I'm gonna guess that
Um,
Marsupilami is better. I have no idea, but I just like that word, so.
Well, they seem to like it a lot more than Bonkers anyway. They
Yeah.
talk about it a couple of times. So I mean,
Yeah.
I can understand the passion. I can feel the drive.
Yeah.
Oh, I see. So Steve Maccal is Maccal is the voice of Marsupilami. Okay, got it.
Okay.
I understand. No, I have not been in contact, but if you want to keep up to date with the people that are going to be on our show, just make sure that you follow us on Instagram and Facebook, and even watch the stuff on YouTube and TikTok to see upcoming shows, and you'll see who the future guests are going to be. I post about it as often as I can. Alrighty. I got some Florida news this time as well. I'm usually all on about the West Coast, but I caught something today that was announced a few days ago. There are no more virtual queues for any of the parks in Florida. The last two that they actually still had to do virtual queue. Now, for those who are not familiar with virtual queues, they are basically instead of actually just going straight on the ride or doing a lightning lane, you actually have to hop on your phone on the Disneyland or Disney World app, and you have to go into a queue where you put in your name and you get a number. And then when that number is called, you can go to the ride and ride that ride, but only at that specific time. And they do it that way because that way it helps reduce the crowds and the lines for that particular ride, because it's either a refurbished attraction or a brand new attraction, etc. So with that in mind, Tiana's Bayou Adventure, and also, which I believe is now at the Magic Kingdom, and then the new Guardians of the Galaxy Cosmic Rewind ride were both still on the virtual queue list, but they are no longer. They are available now for Lightning, or not Lightning, oh my gosh.
Genie?
No, it is Lightning Lane.
Okay.
Yeah, Genie Plus, Lightning Lane,
Genie
whatever you
Plus.
want to call it.
No.
And or the standby lines. So you will not have to do a virtual queue anymore. And then one other piece of news for Florida is that It's Tough to Be a Bug, which used to also be at Disney's California Adventure up until they started construction on Avengers Campus. It's still at Animal Kingdom, but the last day you can watch it is on March 16th. So if you are nostalgic of the one in California, or you're in Florida and it's one of your favorite things to do to get out of the heat, I recommend going to see it for the last time, and make sure that you do it on or before March 16th, because they're going to be clearing it for a brand new show for Zootopia Better Together, and that is going to be probably new animatronics, new video, and stuff like that.
I
So,
love Zootopia.
I just hope that the new show doesn't involve stinging you in your seat, because It's Tough to Be a Bug, you get stung in your seat, and like the second time I went on that show, I was like, I had to stand up just because I knew it was coming. I was laughing.
yeah,
Everyone
the
was like,
stingers always get you in your back,
yeah.
Ooh,
right in the
that
back.
doesn't sound fun.
And then when the cockroaches and all them leave the audience at the end of the show, you feel them crawling underneath your butt.
Yes.
Ew.
Yeah, it's a 4D show. I mean, yeah, for anybody who has never actually been on the ride or seen the show, it's a 4D show. So you have 3D glasses, so you're seeing everything on the stage, quote unquote, in 3D. But there's also there's additional sights. There's animatronics. There's feelings there's like water that gets sprayed at you in certain places. There's obviously there's seat things that happen to you. There's spiders that come down from the ceiling, and there's a stink bug that spews out some gassy smells. So
That actually sounds like a lot of fun.
yeah, it is a lot of fun, but I think that Florida is the only other place it exists. I don't think it even exists in any of the other parks, not even overseas.
Yeah.
Little sad, but we know that this is kind of the Disney way.
Mm-hmm.
So, wow, buddy, you got a lot of chats in here. Let me kind of run through some stuff. Steve Mackel, this Thursday, Disney Audio Fund will do the... Oh, okay, that's cool. So it says this Thursday, Disneyland Audio Fund will do the 60s theme. I haven't heard of Disney Audio Fund, but that sounds interesting. I'll have to look at that. And it's hosted by Twitch user Chris Linden. So it must be a Twitch channel, I'm guessing. Maybe another type of a podcast as well. And they're saying that I will request There's a Great Big Beautiful Tomorrow. I love that song. That is so much fun.
Yeah.
Only listenable either by download or you have to go on the Carousel of Progress at the Magic Kingdom. That is a blast from the past, let me tell you.
Yeah.
All right, so that's all I got for the news. Let's get on to the main topic of Mr. Walt Disney himself. The man, the myth, the legend, the Imagineer, the visionary. I mean, the guy who created all the magic. My hero. My hero for sure. So I wanted to kind of go down a quick list of like his history, and then we can kind of do some talking points. And I know you guys have some stuff, but I think it's sort of like stuff that maybe was peppered throughout his life. So I'll stop at some point and I'll just kind of like turn it over to one of you guys to list your facts.
Okay.
But we'll start with the basics. Now, this is all through I think like a Wikipedia type of site. So and also based on the information that I know that I've heard over the years. So I know it's true. It's got to be true because it's on the internet. That's how.
Oh, absolutely.
Right. So. Walt Disney, Walter Elias Disney was born on December 5th, 1901. He would have been, 124, he'd be 124 years. He'd be turning 125 in December this year. Wow, that's crazy. Wait, no, he's turning 124 this year. So anyway, he's dead, so let's not worry about that. He is the fourth son of Elias Disney, and his mother was Flora Call, C-A-L-L. Elias, his dad, was a carpenter and a building contractor, and Flora was a public school teacher, actually. I didn't know that. I may have known that, but I didn't remember it, I guess.
Yeah.
So, from Chicago, they moved to a farm near Marceline, Missouri, when Walt was an infant. I think I saw something, he was like 4 years old. When they moved to Missouri. And Marceline was a typical like Midwestern town and was actually one of the places that Walt remembers from his childhood, and the buildings in Marceline were what he used for his inspiration for the buildings on Main Street at Disneyland, and also, of course, Disney World. So there's a little bit of history there. Yeah. Elias gave up farming and moved to Kansas City, Missouri, and bought a paper route when he got there. And he also encouraged his boys to join in on the family business and, learn responsibility, get some pay, stuff like that. And Walt had said that's kind of where he got his ethics from, is kind of from, learning how to do that kind of stuff and working with his dad and everything, which I thought was really cool. That's very, very sweet.
Yeah.
Kansas City is also where Walt began studying cartooning at the Art Institute and the School of Design. In 1917, the family moved back to Chicago, where Walt took pictures and made drawings for his high school newspaper. I think he was at that point only like either 16 or 17 years old, so he was still in high school through all of these moves, but had already done quite a bit to start, building that spark in his brain.
His passion started pretty early.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And then he started getting into cartooning. He progressed more when he was in Chicago, but unfortunately, he got interrupted by World War I, as I'm sure the rest of the country did. And he did actually work for the Red Cross in both France and Germany, where he was an ambulance driver. And I think I remember that when we were actually at the Walt Disney History Family Museum when you came over to visit that one time, Leia.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, I love
and I
that.
think they even had memorabilia and pictures and stuff like that from when he was with the Red Cross. It was pretty cool to see that.
I think so, yeah.
So he returned to Kansas City in 1919 after the war, worked as a draftsman and a inker in a commercial art studio. So clearly the passion for drawing never died.
Mhm.
He started his first studio with, and I had to look up how to pronounce this name, but Oob Iworks.
Yeah.
And it's his,
Oh
then the
yeah.
first name is spelled U-B. And I thought it was, oh, is it just U-B?
I
Or
always
is it
thought it
Ub or
was.
Oob?
I
Yeah,
think
no, it's Oob Iworks.
Ooh.
So anyway, that happened in 1922 when they opened up their very own first studio. They did a series of animated cartoon sketches called Laugh-O-Grams,
mhm.
and they also did a pilot for a live-action / animated series, kind of like how they did Mary Poppins and Roger Rabbit, where they have live-action people about
Oh yeah.
interacting with cartoon characters.
Yep.
I think he was one of the pioneers of that,
Yeah,
and it
definitely.
was called the very first episode was called Alice in Cartoonland.
Mhm.
And then the last one that I have before I have my fun facts, but I'll let you guys go in a second here. After being cheated by a film distributor and filing for bankruptcy in 1923, Walt opened a new shop in Hollywood. So he moved out west, and he brought his friend Iworks with him, and also his brother Roy. And that is where they started getting into their animation studio and kind of blossomed from there. So I figured the rest is kind of more common fact about him as far as, the things that he drew inspiration from, the animation that he did. I know there's plenty other stuff we can go over, but that's kind of like, I feel like that's the foundation. And that was
Yeah.
Yeah.
important to start with before we started getting into the fun facts. So
Right. Yeah.
anyway,
Stuff.
Leia, I'm going to start with you tonight. You go ahead and shout out your fun facts, and we'll
Yeah.
go from there.
Okay.
Yeah, go for it.
All right. Okay, so this one is so close to my heart. I think I learned this one in 2010 and I never forgot it because my brother got me a gift set of Disney CDs and it was a 5-pack of the most memorable CDs and it had Mickey Mouse playing a piano. Long story short, I'd never seen Mary Poppins, but I listened to all of the CDs and there was one called Feed the Birds from Mary Poppins and I
Oh
fell in love
yeah.
with the song. It just touched my heart. I got teary-eyed. I was like, this song is so beautiful. So I was looking it up on the internet and it said this was Walt Disney's favorite song. And I felt like I think everybody who loves Disney, they find a fun fact about him and you like feel this personal like little connection to him. And so
Yeah.
here's the fun fact. Walt Disney's favorite song, Feed the Birds from Mary Poppins. The lyrics gave insight into Walt's benevolence, his belief that small kindnesses go a long way. Disney legend and lyricist Robert Sherman once explained the sentiment, doing just a little extra and going just a little bit out of your way to make someone feel special. Sometimes it makes all the difference in the world to a person. So when the song was finished, Walt would say under his breath, as an aside to himself, so a lot of people would hear him say this after hearing the song, "Yup, that's what it's all about."
Mm.
And
Oh.
Robert overheard that whispered and concluded, "I do think this song summed him up. He was a simple man, a simple, wonderful man who understood that the greatest gift life bestows upon a person is the chance to share with others." I just love that.
That is awesome.
Yeah, it just showed his pure heart, and it makes sense why he made the films that he did. He wasn't just in it to make money or finding it fun. His heart was truly in it to bring magic to people the way that he felt inside.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Well said.
Definitely.
That's a
Yeah.
good one.
Thank you. Do you guys want to go in a
And-
circle? Maybe we can keep sharing. Like,
Oh yeah. Yeah, we can
Yeah.
do that. That sounds good.
Mhm. A good.
Well, I don't know what part of my screen, what part of your screen I'm on, so I'll just go. Since I did all the talking, we'll do Thomas. So we'll be
okay.
Leia, Thomas, me, Leia, Thomas, me, Leia,
I wanted
Thomas.
to
Okay.
do a quick 2 movie plugs about Walt.
Oh, yeah.
Jason, for the backstory you mentioned, a good movie to watch is Walt Before Mickey. It has a lot of like Walt's early events and like meeting Oob Iwerks and like some of the struggles he had to overcome. So I really like it. And then it
Okay.
even it leads to the Mary Poppins premiere, which I think is pretty cool.
Yeah.
And
I'll have to watch
they had,
that.
I don't know if you guys have probably seen Saving Mr. Banks.
Oh yeah.
Yes, I
like,
love that movie.
I love how they captured like Walt's like love for that song, like feed the birds.
Same.
So since we're on that topic, let me ask you guys a question. What did you think about Tom Hanks playing the role of Walt Disney? Was it believable for you, or do you think it could have been somebody else might have been able to do it a little bit better?
I have opinions.
Yeah?
I think he didn't look like him, but I thought he captured the sincerity. But I think somebody else
Okay.
could have definitely looked more like him and had his mannerisms way more.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well said. I like that. Yeah. I kind of agree with that. What about you, Thomas?
Yeah, I think I agree with that. I think because Tom Hanks is connected to Disney, there's some Disney magic about him, like Woody is. But
Yeah.
I do think they could have gone for even a lesser known actor just to fit the look better. And I kind of wish they had gone deeper into like Lillian, like his wife and the daughters. I kind of wanted a little bit more, but
Yeah.
I realized it was more
Yeah.
about. I realized it was more about the author for that, but still, just
I wonder if that's something that they'll actually put in the circle, the theater that they're revising on Main Street, where they're going to actually put the animatronic of Walt Disney.
Oh, yeah.
And I've heard a lot of people like grunting and groaning about this. So like, oh, why would they even do that? It's not going to be the same. It's not going to be Walt. Why would you fake something like that? I'm like, but why wouldn't you? I mean,
Walt is his.
He's been gone for so many years now, and people love going to the parks. Why not memorialize him in another way? Because I mean, the park, it's him. I mean, he is Disneyland, right? I mean, he's the one that made it. He's the one that conceived it. He's the one that gave birth to it, so to speak. I hate using that term
immortal.
sometimes, but it just fits it. Yeah, exactly. He's immortalized himself, but nobody's really ever actually seen him, and I feel like and the reason I'm saying this is actually kind of close to me. And Leia, you were kind of touching on this about there's something about Walt Disney that everybody kind of connects to.
Yeah.
And the one thing for me is that Lisa and I went to some parks in Florida, and I think we did kind of like a combination trip of Universal parks and Disney parks as well. And we had sort of like an off day, and we're like, well, what do you want to do in our off day? And we're like, oh, there's a Madame Tussauds museum nearby, and let's go see that. And I had no idea it's a wax museum, in case anybody actually has never been to one before, with very, very realistic looking wax figures of your favorite celebrities and people throughout history and stuff like that. And that particular location had a Walt Disney figure. And he was sitting at his desk. I think there was like a sketch of, something, maybe Oswald the Lucky Rabbit or something like that. And he had this like twinkle in his eye. The light was shining on him perfect. And I think I must have stared at him for like about a solid 5 minutes, just going like trying to peer into his brain, even though there's no brain there. It's just wax, just trying to get a glimpse into the genius. And it was one of the most surreal moments. And I think because of that is one of the main reasons why I know I'm going to be excited for the attraction where they put him in the Great Moments with Mr. Lincoln, because being able to see him up there and not only hear him, but, like watch him move and stuff like that's the kind of stuff that's going to pull me in. It's probably going to be one of those attractions that I'll go to over and over and over again. I'll probably have it memorized within the first year if I can.
I totally agree. I want to go. That's actually my number one I look forward to seeing actually when I come.
It'll be there by the time you come. I mean, it's supposed to be open this year, I think, during the summertime. So I'm sorry, Thomas, what were you saying?
I just say it's pretty rare because it's really hard to pull the original magic into today. But I think that's a good way to do it, is having Walt in a way back in the parks, in a way immortalized for.
Yeah, because if you were alive during the the mid to late 50s and even the 60s, he would walk around the park.
Yeah.
He would just be, like doing stuff around the park. And actually, Leia, you have a fun fact I know that you shared with me earlier that has to do with him walking around the park, and something that I would love to add to if you don't already do it. So I digress, and we'll get onto that a little bit later. So Thomas, on with your next fun fact.
Sure. So I'm glad we're doing this round robin because I wasn't sure which one to do first, but I will do my Snow White fact first. Walt performed a one-man show to sell the idea of Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs. He gathered his team, performed a one-man show, acting out the entire movie himself, mimicking the physical statue, characteristics, and voice of each of the characters. In doing so, he captured the team's imagination and hooked them on the idea. Art director Ken Anderson said, "We were spellbound. He was all by himself, and he acted out this fantastic story." Following its production, Snow White and the Seven Dwarfs became the most well-known of Walt Disney's numerous Oscar awards. And then it was actually presented by Shirley Temple, which I have a picture right here.
Yep.
And
Oh, wow.
Walt Disney was given one normal-sized Oscar plus 7 dwarf-sized miniature Oscar statues.
Yep. Those have come up on the show before, too, and those can actually be seen. The actual Academy Awards, the Oscars, can be seen at the Walt Disney Family Museum in San Francisco.
I saw those.
Yeah. It's one of the very first things they have in the display when you walk into this big open room with all of his like memorabilia and things from his life. And you get to that and you're just like, oh my God, it is so cool just to kind of be in the company of it. It's so, because it's historical, with Snow White being the first full-length feature animation movie ever made.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna add on to Thomas's thing here, because I actually saw another fact about Walt Disney and Snow White that I'm like, oh, that's perfect that you said that.
Yeah.
Is that there was a there was some skeptics, as there always are, as we know, but that's the reason why we have this show, is so that we can, push those skeptics aside and just, see it for what it's really, see the forest for the trees.
Yeah.
And there was a lot of people who actually said that, or at least one particular magazine, I think at the time, that called it Disney's Folly. They said that this was ridiculous. It was, a waste of time. It would never amount to anything. And he was actually laughed at for having this idea to do a full feature length animation movie. And, now, he holds the record for most Academy Awards by a single person.
Wow.
Walt Disney got 22 Academy Awards and 59 nominations throughout his lifetime. Can you believe that?
Can you imagine if he just gave up because he listened to them?
Oh my gosh, yeah. That kind of stuff runs through my brain a lot. Like the what if factor of Disney. They do it all the time with Marvel, but I swear they should have a what if with Disney someday.
They should. Actually, as Thomas was as when you guys are talking, I just got $1 million idea. Oh, because you asked about Tom Hanks in Saving Mr. Banks.
Yeah.
Disney should make, how they make those hour-long 8-episode shows. I can't think of one, but they're just it's not seasons, but just one long movie, and they have 7-8 episodes.
Sure.
They should do a Walt Disney real-life series on Disney Plus. That would be amazing. I have a friend that looks just like Walt Disney. They could easily, they should cast him to be Walt, not a famous person,
Hell, they're doing the Harry Potter series. They're turning the Harry Potter stories into a series that's going to be out next year. There's already been movies, and now there's a full series that's supposed to retell the movie based more on the books. So why not Walt Disney, right?
I know. Sure. I think it would be brilliant. Absolutely so fun to watch, and
I agree.
You hear that, Disney? If you're listening, pay attention and make it happen.
Yeah, Disney, contact us. We love this stuff. We got ideas.
Alrighty. Let's see. My turn. Let's see. I've already talked about that. Oh, you know what? This one's kind of cool. So, a lot of people may have the assumption, at least, or the inclination that Mickey Mouse was Walt's first character, but that is actually not true. Walt's first cartoon was Oswald the Lucky Rabbit. Now, I know that this is more commonplace now than it was before, and he drew him in 1927. So that was his very first actual cartoon character that he ever did. But he lost the rights for him because he actually drew it for Universal, and they took it away from him in 1928. So he only got to draw him for about a year. But obviously, Disney must have bought the rights back, because Oswald is now a character for Disney again. It's not a Universal character. So
That's cool.
Now on the fact of who drew Mickey Mouse, it was Ub Iwerks, the guy we were talking about earlier, who was Walt's first partner and helped them open the studio and everything. So Ub is the one that actually got to draw Mickey Mouse for the very first time. But I think I've mentioned this on the show before. Do you guys remember what Mickey was originally called before it was changed to Mickey? What is it? Both at the same time. Ready? One, go.
Mortimer.
Yeah, you already said. Okay, good.
And his wife, she suggested Mickey because she said Mortimer sounded kind of arrogant or depressing or something.
Something like that. I think the word was melancholy or something that. Yeah. It's funny how I remember that stuff. I didn't used to remember this stuff, but when I say it on the show and we talk about it more often, it kind of sinks in. This is better than when I used to go to school. This is how school should have been when I was growing up. It would have been a lot more fun.
1000%.
Yep. So, all right. Well, that's mine for now. We are back to, what is it, Leia? Leia. Yeah.
Yes. Hey, okay. So I will do this as a trivia. Does anybody want to guess what Walt Disney's favorite snack obsession was, even when he was rich and he could have any snack in the world?
All right, guys. So that's the big $20 million question. Put it in the chat. First one to answer wins whatever his favorite snack was. And I already know because you told me, so I can't answer. But this is the one. This is the one where I actually have some information I can add to the end.
Oh,
so
I can't wait.
Yeah, I mean, I'm hoping at least that unless you already know it, but I think it's fun.
Okay.
All right, so guys, Walt Disney's favorite snack, what was it? Just guess. You could say like a Frankenfurter, or you could say like a pretzel, or you could say a hamburger, or
a Twinkie,
a churro, right? A Snickers or something. I think everybody fell asleep, and we lost Thomas. Oh, there he is.
Oh,
okay,
there he is. Okay.
Welcome back, Thomas. Welcome back.
Sorry.
Do you know the answer, Thomas?
I do.
Okay.
Oh,
Patricia's
yes.
guessing. Patricia said popcorn. Is that right, Leah?
Patricia, I'll give you one more guess. It's a musical fruit. Or the music. We'll give you 10 seconds.
So it's not popcorn, apparently, because unless popcorn does that to you.
Yeah, the kernels.
Thomas, do you know what a musical fruit is?
I do not.
Okay.
Maybe you
It's a
don't
joke
know.
or something.
We have to say it after you give the answer because now it's in my brain. I got to get it out. Otherwise, it's gonna eat me alive. Oh, look who's got the big brain.
Way to go, Odie. Yeah. So they call it the musical.
Chili beans.
They call it the musical fruit because when you eat it, you toot. Beans.
Yep. Beans, the magical fruit. The more you eat, the
Patricia.
more you toot. The more you toot, the better you feel. So let's have beans for every meal.
Oh, I love that. I've never heard that before.
Yeah, you've never heard that before?
No.
That's where it comes from. Yeah, I learned that when I was in like summer camp or something like that with the YMCA. There he is. The more you eat, the more you toot. Odie says, "Yep, absolutely right."
Amazing.
All right, but you said it was that and one other thing though, didn't you?
I did. Okay, so here's a very fun fact about Walt. And once again, I learned this, oh my goodness, 15 plus years ago, and it just warmed my heart.
Oh, wait,
Walt?
I'm sorry. Really quick. Odie says clam chowder makes him louder.
Great.
How come
Great.
you never taught me that one? All right, sorry, Leia.
No,
I'm done.
that's great. Walt's simple snack obsession. Despite creating a world of magic and elaborate fantasies, Walt Disney was known to enjoy the simple pleasures in life, one of which was a hearty snack of beans and hot dogs. Colleagues have recalled that during long days at the studio or while working on Disneyland plans, Walt would sometimes take a break to refuel with these classic American staples. So he'd just be like sitting under a tree at the park and just working. This preference for uncomplicated, satisfying food was a refreshing contrast to the elaborate world he created on screen and in the parks. In a way, this little quirk reveals a more relatable side of Walt. Behind the scenes of big dreams and groundbreaking innovations was a man who appreciated the comfort of familiar, no-frills food. His enjoyment of beans and hot dogs is often remembered as a charming reminder that even visionary creators can have humble tastes.
Aww.
Yep.
That's awesome.
Yeah,
Very sweet.
love it. And they're so
So-
good. Who doesn't love beans and hot dogs? That's like childhood food.
Of course.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I mean, I always tell myself I'm going to try hot dog at Disneyland. I never do, but now I have to.
Now you
Oh,
have
absolutely.
give a nod to
Oh,
Wolf.
you have to get a corn dog is
A
what you
corn
got to
dog.
do. Have you ever had one of those there
Mm.
before?
I think I've had one corn dog, the big jumbo one. Yeah.
Yeah, because they have it at California Adventure where you work. They have it at, I think it's like the Corn Dog Castle. Do they still
Yeah.
have that there?
Oh, they do. Yeah.
Okay, I haven't been to
Ooh.
that one in particular, but I've been to the Red Wagon at Disneyland where they sell the corn dogs,
Yeah, I've been
and they
to
are
that one.
huge.
They are.
Oh, that
I
sounds
mean,
fantastic. That's one of my
I love
favorite
eating.
foods.
Yeah, I love eating mine with mustard, and I usually
Yeah.
grab like about. I have to grab at least like 6 packets of mustard to eat it. It's
Mm.
huge. They're gigantic.
Yeah, and
So-
you really feel immersed when you're eating the corn dog like in the middle of Main Street and by the castle. It's like you're just
It's good
soaking in all
fair
the Disney
food.
magic. Yeah.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely. It's fair food. I think that's what I mean. Fairs sell that kind of anything deep fried is like a good
Yeah.
fair food. You know that and funnel cakes, which I think you can still get at the Hungry Bear. I think you can still get
Oh,
funnel cakes
right.
there.
Yeah.
Although
mm.
now I think they have funnel cake fries, or am I thinking of the food fair that they just had for the Chinese
Mhm.
New Year? I
Oh,
can't
that
remember.
sounds so good.
Anyway, I digress. So the extra fun fact I wanted to let you know is that there is a tie-in with Walt Disney eating hot dogs and garbage cans at the Disneyland park. Have you
Way.
ever heard of this, Thomas?
No.
Okay. So when you are at Disneyland, you are always within 30 feet of a trash can.
Oh, right. Yeah.
There are trash cans everywhere in Disneyland, and they are all themed to the different areas of the park. Main Street has their own. There's Fantasyland trash cans, and sometimes they're even themed based on the ride that they're near or something like that, right? Everything is themed. Well, the
Yeah.
reason that they are 30 feet apart is because of Walt's hot dogs. He used to like to eat a hot dog, so it
Aw.
would take him if he was walking down the street, down Main Street, and he was eating a hot dog, it would take him 30 feet to walk from one garbage can to another before he finished that hot dog and dropped it in the garbage can.
No way.
So
I
that
love
way,
that.
yeah. So, I mean, and 30 feet is not a very long distance, folks. So Walt really loved his hot dogs. He must have
Yeah.
downed those things fast. Like, we're talking 3 bites and then gone.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
So yeah, Lisa actually told me about that fun fact a while ago, and I just thought that was so awesome to hear that. And I didn't even have it in my list of fun facts, but
Wow.
I just thought that because you mentioned his favorite food, it suited it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. All right, Thomas, you're up.
So this was a bit of a sad fact, but I'm going to mention it anyways. I'll end on a positive note. Do you guys ever notice how our favorite Disney movies are usually missing either a mother, a father, or just mostly the mother, but sometimes
Yeah.
both parents?
Mostly the mother, yep.
Yeah, mostly the mother. So according to the Walt Disney biography, quote unquote, How to Be Like Walt, Capturing the Disney Magic Every Day of Your Life, Walt and Roy both purchased a home for their parents in Los Angeles in 1937. After about a year, Walt's mother called him one morning asking him about a gas furnace leak in the house, if it could be fixed. Disney sent some employees over to fix a furnace, but unfortunately made a mistake, resulting in a leak, and his mother ended up passing away due to the error. Disney's never talked about the loss publicly, but the pain can be seen and felt in several Disney movies. In an interview with Glamour, Disney executive producer Don Hahn suggested that Disney was haunted by his mother's loss. However, he did pay tribute to his mother by naming the Red Fairy in Sleeping Beauty after her. So going back to Jason's mention of her name earlier, Flora. So
Laura, oh, that's right, yeah.
paying tribute to his mother. I think that he was like strategic in giving her a similar personality as his mom. So,
Yeah. I know he took that very hard. Everybody that knew him apparently said that he took it very hard, but you're right. Publicly, he didn't really show it because, you know, he was a professional. He was a businessman, you know,
right.
he needed to maintain his composure and everything. And I get that, but
Yeah.
you know, that's not an easy thing to go with. And I think what it was it was carbon monoxide, I think, is what unfortunately got her. I don't even know if that was something that was even like detectable back then. I mean, everybody has to have carbon monoxide detectors in their houses nowadays.
Yeah.
But back then, I don't even know if people even knew what the heck it was. So,
Yeah, very unlikely.
yep. But yeah, I definitely saw that one as well, and a little sad. But let's see, I think you were mentioning his mom, but his wife's name was Lily,
Lily.
right? Can you guys? We'll go for a trivia question before I go for my next fun fact, and that might be the last one because we're at the end of the hour already. I can't believe how fast this has gone.
So fast.
I say that every episode. What? Let me try to think of how to ask this because I didn't prepare it. But what item at Disneyland is named after Walt's wife, Lily? There is something at Disneyland that's named after her. What is it? So if you guys are in the chat and you know, drop an answer. And again, it can be a guess. You might even know it because this one's actually. Oh, Patricia says that's a cool fact. I'm hoping she's talking about the garbage cans because I think that was a cool fact. It's either that or she's talking about my dad's cool fact that it's clam chowder makes them louder. I'm never going to forget that. All right, so what is named after Lily in the Disneyland park, everybody? Come on. Lily Bell. Yes, Lily Bell. But what is the Lily Bell? Anybody? Come on, Dad. You got the answer right, but what is the Lily Bell? He says it's a car. Well, it is a car, but it is not an automobile. It is a caboose on one of the Disneyland trains.
Right.
So the fancy red caboose at the very end of one of the trains for the Disneyland Railroad is named the Lily Bell, and that is the one that he named after his wife. So, and you know, Walt was very, very much into trains. And Thomas, since I don't know if we're going to get to you before the end of the show here, but I know you uploaded a photo of Walt and his trains.
Yes.
And here it is here. I think this was in his backyard, right?
Yes, he loved trains so much. He put one in his backyard.
Oh my goodness, I love that.
Isn't that crazy?
What a fun
yeah,
person.
Walt really loved trains. So yeah, Dad, you got it right. Good job. And that's one thing that I have never actually been in. Have you been in the Lily Bell before, Thomas?
I have not.
Okay.
It's on my bucket list.
All right. Alrighty, let's see. What's my last fact going to be? We talked about, let's see, Seven Dwarfs. Okay, well, I've only got a few left, so I'm just going to kind of do a rapid fire here, with the very last one being a pretty big honor. So Walt actually got the inspiration for Disneyland when he went to Griffith Park with his children in... Oh, just Griffith Park. I didn't put a year on here, but obviously it was pre-1955. I want to say it was probably 1952, 1953, because it took a few years to build the park. And he was sitting on a bench and watching them on the carousel that was there at the park, and he thought that there should be a place for families, not just children, but kids of all ages, to enjoy rides and spend some time together as a family while just kind of drowning out the outside world. And that is where he got the inspiration for Disneyland. That's a fairly... I feel like that's one of the most fairly known facts. And the bench that he was actually sitting on while he was watching his kids is available, again, I'm bringing it up one more time, to see and I think sit at the Walt Disney Family Museum in San Francisco. So,
we found that, Jason.
We did.
Yes, I remember.
But I'm gonna warn y'all, if you ever are in San Francisco and you go to this place and you really immerse yourself into this from beginning to end, it literally goes from the beginning of Walt's life all the way through his death, and that is where it ends. And I never actually got to experience, the news of Walt Disney passing away, and I didn't know him at that time. Obviously, I only knew him after his death. But I feel like that museum makes you feel those emotions of what everybody might have felt back in the day when they learned that he passed away. Because I was in tears. Tears on that one. It was really emotional, but still a very proud moment to have been able to have that shared with the public. So Another one that I got is the first ever audio animatronic that went on display for the public to see that Walt Disney created was at the 1964 World's Fair. And it was the audio animatronic for President Abraham Lincoln, which is well, it's not the same at this point. I'm sure they've probably upgraded it since then, but the one that actually is at the Disneyland park.
Yeah.
And then the very last one that I had, which is, I think, one of the most honorable things, is really great. He was actually awarded the Presidential Medal of Freedom by Lyndon Johnson, President Lyndon Johnson in 1964. I never actually knew that one until I looked it up today, so I thought that was pretty cool.
Wow, that's awesome.
Alrighty. Well, thank you, Uncle Walt, for being such a visionary, for being such a creative person, for having that dream, having that magic, and giving us what we got today. Because dang, if I am not entertained by it, like probably 60% of my life is all Disney-inspired stuff. So I'm really glad that he is.
Something I'm taking from him just hearing these facts is that, and it's so admirable and something me personally I'm trying to do more. The man, his imagination would feed him an idea, and he just about always took action. Like he's watching his children on a carousel. Hey, what about adults and families? Let's make a park. Like you just.
Yeah, and if you guys ever get the chance to look up Walt Disney quotes, it's one of I wish there was enough of them to put on a calendar, but he actually has quite a few of them that are very, very inspirational, and I'm trying to look up some now. Some of Walt Disney's famous quotes include, "The way to get started is to quit talking and begin doing." Very, very relevant to what you just said. You dream it, you do it.
Yeah.
And the one that I love a lot is, I actually got it on I bought a hoodie when I was at Disneyland the last trip we took, and it actually has this quote on the hood. It says, "It's kind of fun to do the impossible." I just love that one. And then, of course, we'll end the show with this quote that he said. It's, I think, one of his most quotable ones. "I only hope that we never lose sight of one thing, that it was all started by a mouse." So, yeah. Chills. Chills getting that one. So, yeah, definitely. Love that one. All right. Yep. Dad, I will see you next week. Great to have you on the show again. And thanks everybody else for joining us. Appreciate you guys dropping in and saying hello and asking some questions. It was a fun show. Did you guys have a good time?
Oh, it was so fun.
Yeah. We should do another part of Walt Disney because there's so many other fun facts about him that we could
I was thinking that too.
Yeah.
Yep.
Cool. Well, you guys have a wonderful rest of your evening. And for those who have been listening, thank you for tuning in. Be sure to come back next week, Tuesday at 6 o'clock p.m. I think that is March 4th, where we will have Joe Ochman, excuse me, Joe, pardon me for the mispronunciation of your name, the voice of Jiminy Cricket. So if you want to hear about his adventures as the conscience of Pinocchio and all the other fun stuff he's done for Disney and other animated stuff, tune in at that time. Great seeing you guys. Thanks again for tuning in. We will see you all next week. Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.